After 2 weeks of being at Daytona Beach, we come now a little bit further south, down to Miami, Florida, here for round number 3 of the Rowdy Energy Cup Series here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Good evening, everybody. My name is Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening here. We do apologize. First of all, Sam's not here, at least for right now. Hopefully he joins in a little bit later on. And our YouTube feed, unfortunately, not working at the moment here. We're not sure if it's a problem with us or if it's a problem with YouTube, but whatever the reason is, we will persevere. We are on Facebook. We are on a Facebook exclusive here tonight for round number 3 of the Rowdy Energy Cup Series season. Before we get into this practice session here, let's take a look at the point standings coming out of the road course at Daytona. Tony Ball currently holding a lead over Christian Vasquez, Greg McConey, Cedric Hunter, and Logan Jones. The top 5 drivers separated by just 17 points here, but then again, it is early days in the season as we go along. There are 2 names that you probably noticed that are not on the points list right now, and those are the brothers Smith, both Brody and Cody. We will get to why those 2 are not on the point standings as it sits right now, but there are the 35 drivers. Let's take a look at the team standings coming into tonight's race. After a 1-2 finish last week, Dream Team Incorporated, filling out the seats by Tony Ball, Damon Goldsboro, Javon Cherry, and Ben Bando. Those guys have now taken the lead in the team championship. Stryker Autosport, which I believe... I'm not going to... Well, you would have seen it in the stand. You would have seen it in the standings. I believe it's Logan Jones with Stryker taking second position in standings right now. Golden State Racing, Sweet Life Motorsports, and Mahler Esports currently the top 5 here for the team standings. And getting to why we are not going to be seeing both Cody and Brody Smith. The incident that took place towards the end of the race last week at Daytona between Brody Smith and Nick Kessler. We had highlighted that coming all the way out of NASCAR 4 and then going through Turn 5 and then also going into the International Horseshoe a lap later. That incident has forced the hand of the series, and that means both Brody Smith and Cody Smith, I'm not sure why Cody, I believe is a preventative measure, were both removed from the series after Brody's actions last week at Daytona. But we are about to begin qualifying here. 20 drivers set to take the field here, 21 drivers, pardon me, set to take the field for what will be an action-packed 120 laps here from the Homestead-Miami Speedway. Tony Ball, a 10th clear of the rest of the field. J.D. Woodward, the second quickest car coming out of that practice session as we get set to begin the qualifying session here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. And right now it's looking like Logan Jones in that James Madison University number 23 Chevrolet will be the first one out onto the racetrack. Looking through right now, Jeff Price, Connor Trafari, Jason Papp, Joe Gauthier, Cedric Hunter, Shane Posey, all on the racetrack right now. But Logan Jones currently the first driver on the racing surface, as this track is going to be incredibly loose here for a good majority of the beginning of this race. As we'll take a look at the weather, you saw it there before on the race info. 99-degree track temperatures. We are just past 3 o'clock pardon me, just past 4 o'clock in race sim time here as we begin qualifying right now. Cedric Hunter, the quickest of the drivers on track in the number 13. Find Cedric Hunter here in just a second. There's Logan Jones setting the first time. Cedric Hunter coming across the line behind him, and he will now set the fastest time at a 31.35 for Cedric Hunter. And it looks as though he's bailing off of his second lap. Jason Papp on his second lap, currently sitting second quickest of the group. Papp taking that inside line here. You're going to see a vast difference in lines being run here tonight. Logan Jones will sit in third. Jason Papp will hold on to his position. Taking a look at the points leader now, the number 8, Tony Ball. Tony with a runaway victory last week on the road course at Daytona. Only lost the lead in the pit cycle. He did. Damon Goldsboro will jump up to the 9th position on the timing chart. Tony Ball will jump up to P1 at a 31.16. My goodness, taking that outside lane and using it to absolute perfection is the driver, the number 8, Zach Bowerman, next across the line. J.D. Woodward coming around in the number 11. You can see just the difference in line between these two drivers. J.D. Woodward goes to second. Damon Goldsboro stops at the line, aborts his lap at the last second. Greg McConey in the 12 will be the next to cross the line. Zach Bowerman goes purple on the first half of the lap. Second half of the lap is a personal best. That will move him into second. He's still a 1/10.5 off of Tony Ball's time. Is Zach Bowerman. Ryan Worley done with his laps? Looks like everybody on track right now. Landon Lacey, Ryan Worley, Zach Bowerman, those guys have completed both of their laps. And with only a minute 10 left here, take a look at Nicholas Wing in that number 90 Family Channel Ford Mustang. Looks familiar. That's a mid-90s paint scheme on that number 90 for Nicholas Wing. The old 16 car driven by Ted Musgrave in the mid-90s. Christian Vasquez on pit road as well. But with 38 seconds to go here in this qualifying session, that appears as though that will do it for this session. So the grid for round number 3 of this season is officially set as we run down the final 20 seconds of this qualifying session. It has been one heck of a racing weekend if you're watching the races at Homestead for both the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series. William Byron collecting the win yesterday for the Cup Series. As we are now about to take a look at the starting grid here for tonight's race, round number 3 of the season. It'll be Tony Ball rolling off from the pole. Zach Bowerman will round out row number 1. J.D. Woodward and Cedric Hunter will make up row number 2. Aaron Tribble and Greg McConey in row number 3. Jason Papp, Ryan Worley, row 4. Row 5 will go to Logan Jones and Landon Lacey. Row 6 to Shane Posey and Joe Gauthier. Row 7 you'll find Jeff Price and Connor Trafari. Row 8 will go to Damon Goldsboro and Ben Bando. Brandon Wilson and Christian Vasquez will make up row 9. Cruz Hernandez Jr. and Nicholas Wing will sit in row 10. And Mark Brown will round out the field in the number 73 in the 21st position. And you can see everybody from Ben Bando on down not setting a qualifying time as we get set to go for what is sure to be an entertaining race. You're going to see a major variance in lines run here tonight. Both the inside line and the outside line really work around here. They say dynamic racing does not really work anymore in iRacing, and to an extent they are correct. But around here at Homestead, this track might be the exception to that rule as we get set to go for what is going to be a highly entertaining 120 laps around the circuit that used to be the season finale, and ever since it was put on the Cup Series schedule back in 1999, I believe it was, it has been the season finale up to last year. As the safety truck peels off towards pit road, we are green for round number 3 of the Rowdy Energy Cup Series, and Tony Ball will lead him into turn 1. Tony Ball solidly out in front for lap number 1, but you can see the variation in lines as J.D. Woodward in that number 11 looks to fall towards the back of this field. That number 7, that is not, oh, somebody wrecking in the back. That's Jason Papp, I believe it is. Christian Vasquez just getting around it. Cruz Hernandez Jr. getting around it as well. But Papp lost all sorts of time there. And Papp, who was running in that 9th position, will go back and take a look now at what happened with the driver, the number 1. It's the 23 of Logan Jones around him. And wow, just catches the apron, completely loses the car. And that was all she wrote there for the 1, so that will move him right to the back of the field, as I believe Damon Goldsboro has also had some issues in the number 7. He is coming out of pit road. Not sure what could have happened there to the 7 of Goldsboro. In any event, he is now 2 laps down here, as we see Tony Ball has already opened out a lead just under a second to Cedric Hunter. Now, Cedric Hunter driving the number 47 last week, but after an update to the series roster, more numbers became available. Hunter took the 13. Might also see a couple of other drivers in different numbers. Jeff Price in the number 14. We're used to seeing him in the Super Speedway Series in the number 39 out of Fayetteville, Arkansas. Other drivers maintaining their numbers. I believe Cruz Hernandez Jr. may not have posted it for this race, but I believe he has moved to the number 80 following last week's race. See a little bit of a battle there just behind them Ben Bando running his first race since Daytona. Brandon Wilson, who had just an absolute mare of a time last week, and Nicholas Wing in the number 90 running in this little three-car battle. And you can see some front-end damage on that 501 of Brandon Wilson. Will ride on board the back of Ben Bando's car, and you can see clearly that damage on the front of the 501. Hear how much throttle play is needed around here as we take a look back up at the 7th position. That is Aaron Tribble in the 22, J.D. Woodward in the 11. Running about as close as you can run, and that's how you need to make a pass around here. If you're going to get a pass done, you really have to be tucked right up on the guy behind, right up on the guy in front of you, and really send it in about as deep as you can send it in. But that outside line, especially around Homestead, you see it in the real life races, you see it here as well. That outside line really does have an advantage, and it is because of that progressive banking. You think of progressive banking on iRacing, at least, we think of Kansas as the worst culprit of that progressive banking. You can get about 3 or 4 good laps in on the inside line before it becomes wall riding the rest of the way. Here, though, it's really that second lane. It's more like Michigan in that regard, where Michigan, you don't want to be on the very bottom line, under the very bottom seam. Same thing here. You can see that very bottom seam. They'll run that as if it's the white line. You can see the difference in color on the track from where the rubber has been put down. Virtually none on that yellow line. You're seeing a battle here between Greg McConey and Landon Lacey. This is for the 5th position. McConey has it. Lacey wants it. Just behind them was that Tribble, Woodward, Logan Jones battle. And now Connor Trafari, who's working that outside line in the 48, really starting to get into this, as well as Jeff Price in the 14. See the 48. You're going to watch the run that he's going to get here as we go in car on Trafari. Look at the run. Look at the closing rate that he's going to get down the back straightaway here to get to the back of that 30, to get to the back of that 23. Having to let the car coast, but he's going to get such a good run of momentum down the straightaway. A little bit further ahead, Greg McConey and Landon Lacey still battling it out for the 5th position. Not missing anything up front. Tony Ball leading by 1.2 seconds over Cedric Hunter. Zach Bowerman a second behind Cedric Hunter. And then Ryan Worley. There he is in the 00. Then the battle you're just watching now as Landon Lacey does complete that pass on Zach Bowerman for the 5th position. But further behind is Aaron Tribble, who is currently racing side by side with J.D. Woodward in the 11, and it's because of that outside line and the way this track works. It is very difficult to make a pass around here and to make one stick, as this has now turned into a 4-car battle for what would be the 7th position. Tribble, Woodward, Jones, Trafari on this little line. This is 7th to 10th, what you're seeing on screen. Jeff Price is a second behind these guys. Then it's Shane Posey in the 83, another 1.3 seconds off of Jeff Price. Joe Gautier, a little bit more than a half a second off of Shane Posey. Christian Vasquez, who again started from the back, not qualifying for the race tonight, and that's big for the driver of the 86 after working his way up into the second position in points after what we thought was going to be a very difficult race for him after the incident in turn 5 on the first lap of last week's race. Just behind him is Cruz Hernandez Jr. There's a 3.5 second gap between Cruz and Vasquez. Nicholas Wing in the 16th position. Brandon Wilson sitting 17th, about a second and a half behind these guys. Ben Bando in the number 2, closely following behind the 501. There you see Jason Papp, who right now is the biggest loser so far, down 12 positions, and we saw why. That big slide he had coming out of turn 2 after hitting the apron in the middle of 1 and 2. Then Damon Goldsboro is currently sitting 3 laps down. In the 20th position, Mark Brown did not make the start of this race in the 73. As we head back up to the leader. Cedric Hunter in that number 13, about a second and a half behind. This is the biggest lead that Tony Ball has had tonight. Tony currently with the fastest lap at a 31.48. Only about 5 hundredths off of him is Cedric Hunter, who ran a 31.54. To begin this race, as now you're starting to see tire wear is going to be coming into effect as guys who ran way out put a lot of stress on those tires. Now other drivers who had been saving those tires at the beginning of the run are going to start to move their way up, and that's what we're seeing here with Landon Lacey and Greg McConey, Aaron Tribble, and the group that he's been bringing along, all starting to close back up. Zach Bowerman also starting to fall off. Bowerman, of the drivers in the top 5, that number 9 was the slowest the time previous. Same deal this time with Bowerman, so he is slowly moving his way backwards as this group now starting to catch up. Wasn't too long ago that Landon Lacey and Greg McConey were running essentially by themselves, battling with each other. They've caught up about a 1.4 second gap to Ryan Worley. Now McConey looking to make a move on the inside of the 35 of Lacey. And not running the proper scheme tonight is Lacey, showing a number 7. As McConey will jump up into the 5th position, back where he was. See, those guys might use that inside lane to turn, and that's exactly what they are looking at doing. Greg McConey straddling that low seam there, trying to get as much turn in the car as possible around these corners that are really, really expansive. when you're driving one of these cars, you want to hit the gas so much sooner than you actually can in order to get out of these corners with as much speed as possible. Aaron Tribble just a half a second behind these two. J.D. Woodward has started to fall off the back of the 22, as a matter of fact. Logan Jones sticking right with Woodward, and Connor Trafari has actually dropped back about a second off of the drivers he was racing. Trafari holding true to that top line. Finds that is where he is most comfortable. However, the speed appears to be down on the bottom lane, as McConey now getting put under a little bit of pressure from Landon Lacey. He's about to get put under more if Aaron Tribble gets any closer. And trying to put his Dudes Racing teammate, Ryan Worley, under pressure as we work lap 27 of 120. We've been caution-free here tonight. Again, we do apologize for the lack of YouTube feed here tonight. A technical issue. Not sure if it was on our end or if it was on YouTube's end. But a technical issue of some sort has kept us from broadcasting on YouTube tonight. This race will be uploaded onto YouTube at the conclusion of the race. But for right now, we are Facebook only tonight. As what was a 1-car, 2-car, 4-car pack has now turned into just a straight-up 4-car pack. As boy, Landon Lacey getting really close to that outside wall. McConey trying to defend that inside, and McConey just did not get a good run out of turn 2 at all there. Landon Lacey goes around him at the top of the racetrack. Aaron Tribble does the same, and McConey, in a matter of half a lap, has lost 2 spots in that number 12. Still not missing anything up at the front of the field. Tony Ball, Cedric Hunter, Zach Bowerman. Still the top 3. All 3 of them separated by a pretty healthy margin at this point. Pit stop should be coming up here in about 20 laps or so. 5 total sets of tires, 4 tires that they can change onto, as Tribble really making a run here out of the 6th, or out of the the 6th position in that number 22. Now Tribble started in 5th and has started to march his way back forward after losing a good 3 or 4 spots on the initial start of the race. Lacey and Tribble battle side by side. Greg McConey starting to fall off a little bit in that number 12. Lacey able to keep close to that 22 with the momentum on the outside. It's essentially a full car length just by running that outside line. Tribble down low. He'll slide up in front of the 35. And Tribble now in 5th and has his sights set on an even closer 00 of Ryan Worley. Trying to make that run and take it to the outside line. Gets the run, takes it to the inside, coming off of the corner. This could be 4th place pretty well nailed down for the young driver. And Tribble to 4th. Worley has held that position pretty much all race, and around he goes off the front end of the 35 of Lacey. No caution as of yet. Just far enough off the racing surface, and who once was running in 4th is now running in 14th, making 15th as Nicholas Wing goes by him. See what happened. Lacey comes in with the run going down low. It's kind of hard to tell from that angle there what had happened. We'll try to go up and above. Oh, that looks like the 35, pardon me, of Lacey might have moved back up the racetrack ever so slightly, hitting that 00 of Worley, and that has put Worley in some serious trouble as Dudes Racing has had an absolutely horrid start to this race, currently running in the 5th position, 15th, 17th, and 18th, as Worley is now going to bring it down pit road. You saw the back end damage on that 00. Something you certainly do not want in a racetrack that is a high line racetrack, is you don't want the back end being damaged, because that does create a very, very loose condition in the race car. And when you're running that close to the wall, you need it to be as nimble as possible without stepping over the edge. There you just saw the gap between Tony Ball and Cedric Hunter, hovering around 2 seconds. That number 8 Gatorade machine just absolutely flying, picking up right where he left off on the road course at Daytona last week. This is a battle for the 6th position here between J.D. Woodward and Logan Jones. And that collision with Ryan Worley has forced Landon Lacey backwards towards the 8th position now. Right at the back end of the top 10, this is Jeff Price in the 14 on Connor Trafari in the 48. Price trying to get into the top 10 with that pass, and does. Back up now to that battle for the 6th position between Woodward and Jones. Woodward, a solid run at Daytona last week. Coming into tonight's race, qualified in the 3rd position, has not had the race speed to match his qualifying pace. As we start working closer and closer towards green flag pit stops. Tony Ball with a 2-second lead over Cedric Hunter, who is dealing with a pretty nice advantage over Zach Bowerman right now at a 4.7 second gap between 2nd and 3rd. There is Zach Bowerman. I haven't spoken much about Bowerman. There's another late 90s paint scheme for Zach Bowerman. Chad Little's old number 97 John Deere Ford. Might be seeing green flag pit stops here, as a matter of fact, and yes, we are, as Zach Bowerman will bring it down into pit road on lap 40. Shane Posey coming in as well. Joe Gauthier staying out. Christian Vasquez staying out. Those guys both picking up positions. So now it's going to be clock ticking as to when the 8 and 13 both come into pit road. There is a pretty nice speed differential that you can gain here. Best lap of the race from Tony Ball, as we had mentioned before, was a 31.48. His last time around was a 33.87. So a 2.5 second fall off in pace. So the undercut here is going to be big. 2 of Ben Bando in pit road. Appears to be a little bit of right front damage on that number 2 Hulu machine. And some rear damage. He must have put it in the wall at some point. This battle here for the 5th position. Well on its way. Woodward, Lacey, Jones. Again, Lacey was running ahead of Greg McConey, who you just saw flash by, and then the incident with him and Ryan Worley put him way back, and Logan Jones taking the scenic route down the back straightaway. Might have pushed up just a little bit, and right there you can see the speed differential between the 23 and the 9. We'll get a better representation of that speed differential now, as look at how much the 9 of Bowerman has already caught up to these guys. Bowerman able to run right on that inside line. Bowerman is going to be able to complete the pass here on the 11 of Lacey, and then just fly right up. I'm sorry, on the 11 of Woodward, and then just fly right up to Landon Lacey in the center of the corner. Just unbelievable. Christian Vasquez in the 86, getting around Joe Gauthier in the 67. Now setting his sights on Connor Trafari. The only drivers in the top of the field that have come into pit are Zach Bowerman and Ryan Worley. Worley coming in on lap 34, Bowerman and Posey coming in on lap 40. Everybody else staying out on the racetrack. Tony Ball showing the way, 2.5 second lead up at the front on Cedric Hunter as we watch this battle for 9th. Between Trafari, Vasquez, and Gauthier. And it looks as though Christian Vasquez is going to get the better of it as they go into turn number 1. Vasquez just pokes a nose out in front and is able to take the position. So the man who currently sits second in points up into the 9th position. Woodward and Lacey still going at it, this now being for the 6th spot. Still running a caution-free event at the moment. As Tony Ball currently leads Cedric Hunter, Aaron Tribble up into the 3rd position after the pit stop by Zach Bowerman. Bowerman in the 9 now getting past Jason Papp. That will put the 9 of Bowerman back as the first car not on the lead lap. And as a matter of fact, is actually coming up to unlap himself from 2nd place, Cedric Hunter. Now he should get the race lead here when this cycle of pit stops levels itself out, should Zach Bowerman. However, he is going to be on at least 10 lap older tires than anybody else in the field. Jeff Price. I think Price was trying to go into pit road. Realized he was going to miss it. No, I don't think he had much of a choice there. It looked like momentum took him back out on the racetrack. So we'll see if Price comes in here. Running a lot lower on the racetrack this time. There's the 67 of Gauthier. Aaron Tribble in the 48, and a great pit entry this time by the 14 of Price. It's Connor Trafari in the 48. In pit road as well. So Trafari, Price, and Gauthier in this time. Tony Ball now putting him a lap down. Not too far behind him, as a matter of fact. Or actually, he's already gotten past him. Zach Bowerman has. So Zach Bowerman is back on the lead lap. This will leave Jason Papp as the first car not on the lead lap. Papp, who has not yet come into pit. So the pit cycle is well and truly on here as we reach ever closer to the halfway point. There is the man right there who calls Riverview, Florida home, and is about to win 2 of the opening 3 races in his home state. Or if he stays on this track, looks to win 2, of the opening 3 points races. Tony has been on rails here tonight. Again, just picking up right where he left off last week on the road course at Daytona. There you see the gap. It has come down a little bit. Cedric Hunter, a gap that was as wide as 2.5 seconds, is now down to 2 seconds between the 8 and the 13. Neither one of them showing any will to come into pit road. And again, if they can make it to lap 60, they only need 1 stop in this race if that's the case. Guys like Bowerman and Worley and Posey might have worked their tires to the point where they just could not stay out anymore. It's where the 2 leaders just did not have that problem. We saw Tony make it a 1-stop race last week. As we look a little bit further back here, side by side, a battle for 6th position between Logan Jones and J.D. Woodward. This being the closest battle on track right now for position. So it looks as though the 23 is going to be able to make that pass now, finally, on J.D. Woodward. Shane Posey, who has come into pit road, coming up behind these guys. And Posey will get around both of them coming through 3 and 4. Further back there is Damon Goldsboro. Goldsboro, who I believe started from pit road, did not make the grid because it is showing one pit stop for him, but a pit stop on lap 0, which to me would mean he did not make grid. Started from pit road, currently running 3 laps down in the 19th position. Last car running on track, Mark Brown, did not start the race, and Cruz Hernandez Jr. pulled it off on lap 18. So only 2 drivers of the scheduled 21 no longer participating in the race, or at least in the case of Mark Brown, not even starting the race. So Goldsboro in the 7. You can see he's got the pace. He's got pace to be up there. He just needs a lot of luck with the cautions, as there goes the 14 of Jeff Price. Now, Price just came into pit on lap 50. So he's on fresh tires. There's Connor Trafari around the outside. You can see right behind them, Christian Vasquez running in the 8th position. Again, another driver who has not come into pit. You can see Goldsboro, he has the pace to be up where he is. If you look at his last lap, Well, we'll get a little bit of a better representation of a lap that he can run while he's got somebody clear from in front of him. As we see, the leaders are now into pit road. Cedric Hunter will stay out another lap, and you see we're on lap 61 of 120, so this means these guys can only go, well, these guys can go on just one stop. They have effectively split this race up in half. Now we're going to see where Cedric Hunter in the 13 decides to do. He is going to bring it into pit road now. And Hunter hits pit road a lap later, gets his lap led, now brings it into pit road. That will leave Greg McConey in the 12 with the race lead. Do not believe McConey got that lap led, or if he did, it was incredibly close. So there's Aaron Tribble coming out in front of him. Christian Vasquez in pit road. Taking that last pit stall. Cedric Hunter still getting serviced. And now is down and away. Greg McConey and Landon Lacey both into pit road. Logan Jones now will lead that lap. J.D. Woodward, Nicholas Wing in as well. So the effective leader of this race is going to be the 9 of Zach Bowerman. But Bowerman is going to need to pit again. Bowerman came in on lap 40, 20 laps earlier than anybody else, and Tony Ball just reset fastest lap of the race at a 31.31. So Tony is absolutely flying. Logan Jones into pit road. Surrenders the race lead now officially to Zach Bowerman. And between the 8 and the 9, there is a 9-second gap and rapidly closing. The battle here, though, is going to be between the 23, actually, no. You can tell the time difference, too, because here's Cedric Hunter in the 13. He was ahead of Aaron Tribble by a good margin in that 22. And Hunter now sitting 6.5 seconds behind the position he was in prior to the pit stop. So staying out that extra lap or two might really hurt. As there is your race leader, Zach Bowerman. Ben Bando in front of him, currently running in the 11th position. The last car on the lead lap, Joe Gauthier, came into pit on lap 50. 10 lap fresher tires than the 9. The first car not on the lead lap. Just look at the lap time history between first and second. Tony Ball has been out on that. Has been out on the racetrack for 5 laps now, and he has gained no less than 1.8 seconds each circulation of this racetrack. He is absolutely flying. Is the driver of the 8? You can see him there on the back of the screen. Pardon me. Tony on a mission, getting back to the 9. Now, whether or not he passes the 9 on track really is no bother. As you see, this is a big conundrum that the leader finds himself in now. And this was bound to happen. Drivers with better tires surrounding him. boy, that got close, though, as Christian Vasquez getting around Ben Bando. That is for position for all drivers involved right there. Joe Gautier the same. And Vasquez is now going to have to hold off that 11, or at least try to. As we itch closer, and there goes Tony Ball right around the outside, getting really loose. In turn 2, there is your race lead done. Coming up on DTI teammate Ben Bando now. Joe Gautier still just cannot get around Zach Bowerman. Now he finally does. Unfortunately, he is still a lap down. And Bowerman has already lost 2 seconds off the back of the 8. It's a battle here for the 11th position as the 11 of Woodward gets around Christian Vasquez. Everybody has been to pit road at least once. There's a handful of drivers that are going to need to come in again. But the leaders are good to go the rest of the way. We are working lap 71 of 120. We have 50 laps to go here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. We'll be back to bring you the end right after this. Tonight's broadcast of the Rowdy Energy Cup Series is sponsored by DiecastNuts.com. Post your own diecast collections, add or trade to it in the shop, and see other members' collections at diecastnuts.com and on Facebook at diecastnuts. And by Rocket Racing Setups. Rocket Racing Setups is one of the leading setup builders for the iRacing community. Find dirt and asphalt setups, tuning guides, fuel sheets, and much more at rocketracingsetups.com today. Tonight's race is also brought to you by the series sponsors, Rowdy Energy, CircleBDiecast.com, Midwest Motor Customs, iRacing iFlag, and Butt Kicker. And the series would like to thank you for your continued support. There you see the man in charge right now. Tony Ball has circulated back out to the race lead just before we came back from break. You saw Zach Bowerman come into pit road for what would be his final pit stop. Connor Trifari actually in pit road right now in the 48 as well. Actually see him coming out of pit road there just on the bottom of the screen. Or pardon me, that wasn't Trifari. As we are just south of 40 laps, just north of 40 laps to go. No cautions here tonight thus far as we work lap 80 of 120. Aaron Tribble, you also saw during that break, Aaron Tribble jumping up into the second position with the pass on Zach Bowerman. He is currently losing a little bit of time every single lap to that man right there in the number 13, Cedric Hunter. Now, Hunter has done a fantastic job since coming off of pit road. He had, I believe, was a 6.5 second deficit to the 22 of Trifari. And Trifari now has let that slip to 2.8 seconds. Sitting in fourth place, you have to go about 6 seconds back to find Greg McConey. Currently running in the fourth spot, was one of the drivers to pit on lap 62. So does have a little bit fresher tires than everyone else. Just behind him, you can see on screen, is the number 35, showing 7 tonight. But the number 35 of Landon Lacey, he rounds out the top 5. J.D. Woodward has cycled back up into the 6th position. However, he has not cycled away from the 23 of Logan Jones, who has been on his back bumper pretty much from the word go here tonight. As both of those drivers getting loose coming out of turn 4. Christian Vasquez, who started in the 18th position, currently up 10 spots into 8th as they run tonight, but he is not the biggest mover of the race thus far. This man is, the driver of the number 90, Nicholas Wing, up 11 spots from his 20th place starting spot, up into 11th in that family channel number 90. Zach Bowerman, who we just saw come out of pit road not that long ago, it still has less than 10 laps on those tires, is flying through the field currently sitting in the 10th position, and should climb rather rapidly, as he only has Nicholas Wing in front of him, and he's quicker than him by 1.5 seconds a lap on those fresher tires. Joe Gauthier, who we saw having trouble getting around Zach Bowerman, is now starting to fall off a little bit as we get deeper into this run. Currently running in the 11th position. Ryan Worley currently sitting in 12th. Really could have brought out the one and only caution that we would have seen here tonight after getting tangled up with Landon Lacey on the front straightaway. No caution came out. Back end of his car damaged up. Was running in 4th at the time of the incident. Dropped him down to 15th at the time. Currently running in the 12th spot. Worley has just come in again for the second time, which is why his pace looks so phenomenal. Jeff Price also just coming out of pit road on lap 80. Currently seated behind Ryan Worley. Those drivers on the same lap. Sitting in the 13th spot, and they're about to have a battle for 12th. Connor Trifari, another one of those drivers who has pit a second time. Trifari coming in on lap 77, running in the 14th position at the moment. Jason Papp down in 16th position, or pardon me, 15th position. 16th is currently occupied by the driver behind him. That is Shane Posey, who has just gone another lap down to the race leader, Tony Ball. Ben Bando currently sitting at 2 laps down in the 17th position, just really has not gotten his night going at all in the number 2. Brandon Wilson just 2 seconds behind Ben Bando. Got that damage early on the nose of his car. Just has not been able to recover from there. Running in the 18th position, Damon Goldsboro, who has had top car pace here tonight. Currently running in the 19th position, 4 laps down after missing the grid and not starting this race until about 3 laps into the event. Goldsboro is the last car running on track right now. Cruz Hernandez Jr. called it a night on lap 18, and Mark Brown did not make the start of this race. And there is the closest thing you're going to get to a grid run-through, or a legitimate grid run-through. So you see the race leader, Tony Ball, who has a 7.4 second advantage over Aaron Tribble. And there you see where his battle is. His focus is going to be behind him, not in front of him, as Tribble has let that 6.5 second gap back to Cedric Hunter disintegrate to a 1.5 second gap, and you can see the difference just in the last 5 laps. How the gap has closed down. It's actually started to go the other way just this last lap. But Aaron Tribble and Cedric Hunter running second and third at the moment. 1.6 seconds separating the two. Coming up here on ESPN tomorrow night will be the Western States Racing League, round number 8, as they head to yet another short track, Iowa Speedway, starting at 10:05 p.m. Eastern Time. On Wednesday, Sim Racer's Edge will make his return. His boy Tribble got really loose going into turn 3. Boy, oh boy. And he is really loose now. Is that 22? And a great job to hang on to it, and only didn't he lose at all, actually. Well, he's lost about a tenth or so to Cedric Hunter in the 13. You can see the gap between the two. Lost 0.2 that last lap to those guys. Well, back to Cedric Hunter, pardon me. Continuing with what's upcoming this week, Sim Racer's Edge returns for round number 4 this Wednesday night from Gateway, the Worldwide Tech Raceway at Gateway at 8:45 p.m. Eastern Time. March 4th, this Thursday, will be our double feature, at least I thought it would be our double feature. USRA Cup Series at Pocono, their penultimate race, and then we take it all the way back to February 26th for round number 5 of the DOB 410 Sprint Car Series. They will be at Weedsport this upcoming Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Somebody in the graphics department was not paying close enough attention. As we look at this battle here for second place, Tony Ball has actually caught traffic and has been slowed up by this traffic as he has a big slide coming through turn 3 and 4. Losing a little bit of time now to Tribble and Hunter behind him as we now hit 26 laps to go. Closest battle on track would be for that second position Ryan Worley and Connor Trafari, or pardon me, Worley and Posey, within a second of each other. That would be a battle for the 13th position on track. Christian Vasquez with Zach Bowerman behind him. And again, Bowerman on fresher tires than Vasquez. You can see looming in the background there is that race leader, putting Jason Pappas second lap down. As Cedric Hunter is now all over the back of Aaron Tribble in that 22. I think Tribble might have had a big slide, a half a tenth slower, or half a second, pardon me, slower than Cedric Hunter that last time around. And with how loose he was earlier in the run, I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he had had another moment, as they both appear to be wiggling coming off of turn 2. It's a battle for the second position between these two drivers. See Ben Bando in that group, not for position. Bando currently sitting in 17th. Keeping his nose clear of this battle is Cedric Hunter, who has held second for a vast majority of this race. Lost it coming through the pit cycle. And now Bando going to stick his nose in as Hunter goes and tries to take the outside line through 1 and 2. Found out very quickly that that didn't work. Heads now to the middle and a big slide coming through turn 3 and 4. Back from Aaron Tribble. And that's a sigh of relief. For young Aaron Tribble to have a car not for position between him and somebody who has proven to be faster than him throughout the course of this run. And all the while still closing in on Tony Ball, who's leading this race. Not by much, but still closing in as Ben Bando takes that inside line. Not quite clear of the 22 just yet. The reason why you would run that outside line around here is for exactly what you just saw with Aaron Tribble, is that corner exit speed and that corner exit pace that you can get. A lot like Bristol in that regard, you can defend on the outside even if you have a slower car. And speaking of Bristol, as the 22 gets another big slide. Speaking of Bristol, we are heading into, well now, right around the time this race actually started, we are into week 12 for the 2021 Season 1 for iRacing. Week 13 will be next week, and this is usually when the big updates come out with any new cars that are coming to the sim, any new tracks that are coming to the sim. And we do know with this update that the dirt track at Bristol will be in the update. Now, whether or not this series will run the dirt race at Bristol in about a month's time is not confirmed, but it is an available option if they wanted to take it. 18 laps to go. This man, Tony Ball, currently sitting in the race lead, started on the pole. Has led more than enough to have the most laps led on the race. Satellite car Christian Vasquez currently sitting right in front of him. And teammate Damon Goldsboro ahead of that. And I think that might be why that and the 7-second lead he currently holds might be why Tony's not necessarily pushing here. Not wanting to push, not wanting to put a satellite car and a teammate yet another lap down than they already are. Battle for second, getting closer. This is the closest battle for position on the racetrack. At the present moment, you can see a great run by Cedric Hunter coming out of turn 2. Might have room here to make a move. Going into turn 3, he has the room. Will he have the run off the corner, though, is going to be the question. That's a big wiggle from the 22 of Tribble, getting very close to that wall on the straightaway. Side by side, Hunter will have the advantage on corner entry, but Tribble will have the advantage on exit. Boy, great wheel-to-wheel action here for second position as we come down to 14 laps to go. Tribble really able to keep it wound up on that outside line. Might have been saving tires when that gap came down to be able to have the stability that his car seems to have on that outside line. Not seeing him fall too far back the way we've seen other drivers fall, and is having a very solid run coming off of the corner. You can see another threat looming right there in the background. That car, that next car behind them is Greg McConey. Currently running in the 4th position. He could stand a chance to get a podium here if these guys keep battling the way they are. Hunter has the inside line and has the position. And now we'll clear we'll clear Aaron Tribble for the second spot. And the reason why I'm saying Connor Travari, and that is why. Slow in the middle of 3 and 4. We'll take a look and see what happens to him. Coming through 1 and 2. Again, he's one of the drivers that came into pit twice. Boy, had a big moment. Big slide, hits the outside wall, then comes in, slams the inside wall. And again, because he is well off of the racing surface, no caution called. And now finds himself smack dab in the middle of a battle for second spot. As you can see, Cedric Hunter starting to pull away a little bit from Aaron Tribble's. Half a second now separating the two as we hit 11 laps to go. Another battle for position coming up here. Zach Bowerman and J.D. Woodward. J.D. Woodward holding the 7th spot. Zach Bowerman, the highest running of the drivers that came in twice to pit road. Currently running in 8th. See there in the background that Gatorade, that orange Gatorade, number 8. Still sitting behind the 86 and the 7. '86 currently the last car on the lead lap. And with the race leader behind him acting as a shield, will most likely finish this race on the lead lap. Back to that battle for second now as Cedric Hunter has up and left the 22 of Aaron Tribble. Closest battle on track right now is this battle for 7th here between Zach Bowerman J.D. Woodward. Riding on board with the driver of the 9. You can hear how long he has to wait before he can get on throttle here. It's, again, one of those tracks where patience is an absolute virtue. You're listening to how long. A lot more aggressive there coming through 1 and 2. You see and hear how long he has to wait coming through 3 and 4 here. Throttle yet, right around now. Should be full throttle. Pretty much the entirety of the corner, and you can see how loose his car is. Goes with the high track temperature. Everybody else on track right now separated by about 2 seconds from the next closest driver ahead of them. Joe Gauthier coming in and making a pit stop here with 6 laps to go. Interesting decision for the 67. Here later on this run, Cedric Hunter and Aaron Tribble. There is the gap between those two. With just 5 laps to go, these two have closed down a second to the 8. And boy, that's a big moment there for the 13 of Hunter. Unfortunately for Tribble, not close enough to be able to capitalize on it. I don't think he gained too much there either. You can see they might be visually closer. Take a look at the lap times. About a 2/10 gain. For the 22 on the 13. So we currently sit with 4 laps to go in what has been an incredible caution-free race. Little battles all over the place here tonight, but beyond that, it has been all this man who has finally passed his team, one of his teammates. Christian Vasquez has put him a lap down. First car off of the lead lap now is the 86. You can see the 7 of Damon Goldsboro right ahead of him, and again had pace. I would have to assume he would be up running with the top 2, 3, 4 had it not been for missing the start the way he did. Putting himself 3 laps down right off the get-go. As we are about to begin our final lap here for round number 3. Here at Homestead. Tony Ball fell victim to the Super Speedway lottery at the Daytona 500. The opening round of the season, put his best foot forward on the road course, and alongside teammate Javon Cherry, absolutely dominated last week at the road course at Daytona. He picks up right where he left off last week. Tony Ball goes 2 for 3 and wins round number 3 at Homestead. And from my guess, led all but about 15 laps tonight. Cedric Hunter comes home in 2nd. Aaron Tribble comes home in 3rd. Another big points day for Dream Team Incorporated, getting the win. And the 90 of Nicholas Wing, who you see there, pick up a bonus point for biggest mover of the race, 10 spots up from his initial start. And there is your race winner, driver of the number 8, Tony Ball. We will get all of these guys in here momentarily. For post-race interviews. As we will begin with our race winner here tonight. Tony, you picked up right where you left off last week, had a fantastic run here tonight, made it look about as easy as you could make it.
Thanks, man. It was a good race. You know, I'm a big fan of Homestead. Basically, good race.
It certainly seemed that way. How long did it take before you realized that this was going to be a one-stop race for you, much like it was last week at Daytona?
That was basically the strategy the whole race. Was once I got myself out front and kind of paced, I was waiting to see what Cedric did. I was just, if he pit on, because you had two choices, you either pit on 60 or you pit on 40. So I was waiting, and once we passed 40, once we kept rolling past 40, I was like, okay, well, he basically made his bed. So I brought it to 60. That's the longest run I ever did. That was the most worn my tires have ever been, but I felt like if I could just keep saving and keep having pace, I'd be all right.
How was the car for you tonight? We saw a lot of guys, especially later in the run, get really loose, start trying to find a line that wouldn't knock the car out of whack. How was the handling for you here tonight?
Well, I think it was easier for me because I had clean air for most of the race until I kind of caught that lap traffic, but it seemed like they weren't really affecting me too much. But I feel like the clean air really helped me for other people when you were back there in that traffic fighting somebody had to overturn it, and then all of a sudden this thing snaps on the exit, and you have nowhere to go. You're already turning it 45 degrees to the left, so you're automatically going to spin out. But I was feeling pretty good. Once the right rear got worn towards the end of that run, I was getting loose off the corners, but I think my times were right around what second and third place were running there, so I was just trying to save, and if they caught me, I was hoping I'd have enough tires at the end.
Now, you've won 2 of the first 3 points races, both of them all 3 of them in your home state of Florida. We head out west to Las Vegas next week. What are your thoughts on our first West Coast track of the season?
Oh, I have no problem going out to Nevada, the beautiful, beautiful city of Las Vegas. I might have to head out there early, hit a sports book or something. But I'm excited. I'm excited to head out there. I like Vegas as a track as well. It's got a couple different grooves. It'll probably be one groove, but we could probably see a little bit of passing there. So yeah, I'm excited for Vegas.
Was it 454 days we're at?
Something like that. 455.
Anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
The guys at Circle B Diecast, Rowdy Energy, iRacing, iFlag, Butt Kicker, Midwest Motors Customs, all those guys help put on this league. Greg McConey, all those guys that help just put on the league, broadcast it. I appreciate you and all my teammates back in the shop.
All right, your race winner taking a stranglehold on this championship about as quickly as he can. Tony Ball, congratulations, bud.
See ya.
And so there was your race winner. And in just a moment here, we are going to get to our second place finisher here, Cedric Hunter. In just a moment. Cedric, second consecutive podium finish, finished third last week. Second this week. There's only one logical place for you to go now.
Yeah, hopefully. That's kind of the plan tonight. Unfortunately, we had the speed. Unfortunately, I made that pretty big mistake on pit road. I'm kind of hoping for my sake that you guys didn't catch that. Ended up kind of sliding through maybe 5 or so stalls way past my own, and had to reverse back, and it cost me a lot of time on track. But we thankfully made it back up.
The honest Canadian, yes, we did miss that. We were wondering, I was wondering why you came out like 6 seconds behind Aaron there. What was it like trying to catch him up, and then you guys were running side by side for a good 4 or 5 laps. How much of the tires did that eat up on you?
It was actually interesting because I felt like the first run when I was running behind Tony, I was pushing, but I was kind of saving at the same time, which, doing whatever I can, since I was kind of expecting that once the field got spread out that we were going to go green for a while, and so I was hoping for green flag pit stops. But then when I got set behind, like pretty much the second run, I was just going 110% the whole run, and my car actually felt better by pushing the whole time than it did by saving. So that confused me. But when we started racing side by side, it was pretty interesting. I wouldn't say that it hurt my car in any way, shape, or form. It already kind of it felt tight. I wish I had a little bit more turnability in the center of the corner, but then the rear end on exit was just, it kept snapping. So I think that's what Aaron was struggling a lot, which kind of allowed me to even get into that position to be able to battle with him.
Next week, we leave the great state of Florida for the first time this season. We head out to Las Vegas. What are your thoughts going into Vegas for round number 4?
I absolutely love Vegas. I am so excited for that race, and it probably is my best track on the entire circuit. So hopefully I can get that win and knock off all 3 positions on the podium.
Well, we'll be hoping for it too. Anyone you want to thank here before we let you go?
Absolutely. I want to thank you for doing the broadcast. I want to thank all the drivers and admins and everyone involved in this league for allowing me to come race this season with them. I want to thank all the sponsors for this series: Circle B Diecast, Rowdy Energy, iRacing, iFlags, Butt Kicker, Midwest Motor Customs. I also want to thank Category 5 and my race team.
You certainly gave them a great ride here tonight. Your second place finisher here tonight, Cedric Hunter. Congratulations, bud.
Thank you so much.
All right, so there was your second place finisher, and in just a moment we will get to our third place finisher here. A kid who we've been thinking we were going to be hearing from a lot here these last couple of weeks. We're finally going to get to hear from him now. Aaron Tribble, Frank Marchese, ESPN, you got me? You there, Aaron?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry, I was doing something. I'm on my phone. Sorry.
You're all good, bud. We finally get a chance to talk to you here. We've thought both here and on Friday that we were getting a chance to talk to you, but finally managed to scratch out a podium here. You were struggling with what looked like a really loose race car at the end of that race.
Yeah, I was just, I burnt it off early there, and then I got a bit of damage. So just, it was not a very good last 20 or so laps for me, I'd say.
Still managed to come away with a podium and a big run in the point standings for you. What was the car handling like pretty much the entirety of the race for you? We saw you need to move up, fell back a little bit at the start, and then were able to work your way up. How difficult was your race from your perspective tonight?
It was definitely pretty interesting because I was trying a lot of new stuff that I hadn't tried over the week, running like a fixed open and whatnot. So it was definitely a very confusing race. The car was a lot more tight and loose than I actually expected it to be. But yeah, I just did not handle the way I expected, and
Well, next week we head to Las Vegas Motor Speedway, another track that can be a little loose. What are you expecting out of Las Vegas next week?
I'm expecting some really hard racing, some worn out tires, maybe a couple of broken fenders and feelings, and I think we might be able to get our first one of the season there, we'll see.
Well, here's to hoping, certainly. Anybody you want to thank before we let you go?
Obviously, I want to thank my grandparents, mom, dad, anybody who supports me, and then Circle B Diecast, Rowdy Energy, iRacing, iFlag, Butt Kicker, and Midwest Motor Customs, and they were basically on my car the entire race, so I was sponsoring them or advertising them the entire time. But yeah, and obviously you guys for doing the broadcast.
All right, Aaron Tribble, your third place finisher here tonight. Congratulations, bud.
Thank you.
Boy, a very good kid is Aaron Tribble, certainly. Had one heck of a race here tonight. Again, Tony Ball walking away with the race as we saw last week. Again, just picking up right where he had left off on the road course at Daytona. Going to be winding down the broadcast here. We will take a look now at the final results here for tonight's race. Tony Ball, again, getting the win. Cedric Hunter, Aaron Tribble, you just heard from them. Your top three finishers, Greg McConey, Landon Lacey. Your top five finishers, Logan Jones, J.D. Woodward, Zach Bowerman, Christian Vasquez, and Nicholas Wing, round out the top 10. Zach Bowerman, the last car to finish on the lead lap. Jeff Price, Shane Posey, Ryan Worley, Jason Papp, and Ben Bando round out the top 15. Connor Trafari, Joe Gautier, Brandon Wilson, and Damon Goldsboro round out the drivers who finished the race. Cruz Hernandez Jr. pulling off on lap 18, and Mark Brown did not start tonight's race. They will finish in 20th and 21st. Coming up here on ESPN for the remainder of the week, the Western States Racing League heads to Iowa for round number 8 of their season, almost halfway through that season. Amazing already how quick that season has gone by. That race will start at 10:05 p.m. Eastern Time. Coming up on Wednesday night, it'll be round number 4 for Sim Racer's Edge at Worldwide Tech Raceway at Gateway at 8:45 p.m. Eastern Time. And then on Thursday, it'll be a double dip. The USRA Cup Series will be at Pocono for their second to last round of the season at 7:50 p.m. Eastern Time. And then the DOB 410 Sprint Car Series will be at Weedsport at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And a great race last week for those guys. It certainly was a lot of fun. So that will do it here for the broadcast tonight. Again, I do apologize for the technical issue that left us on Facebook alone tonight. We will get this race up as soon as possible on YouTube when we can. But for right now, my name is Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening, and we will see you all tomorrow night for round number 8 of the Western States Racing League. Have a great night, everybody.